So we're doing a little test on the Sedona Elite 3200 DWS, and I'm going to just show you, and I'm trying to hand hold a iPhone and do this because I forgot my tripod for the camera. So basically I'm turning on the igniter and then going to turn on the heat, and I got the airflow set at about 4 to start it off, and then I'll bump it back after it starts to about 2. Okay, so it should have lit. Yep, it lit. Not in focus, but it lit. There we go. Now I'm going to bump it down to about 2. I'm going to start my timer just as I preheat. So I've got 8 pounds of Java right here. I don't know if I want to do that particular one because it's not a newer bean, but I'm going to cut a pound out and do 7 pounds. So we took a pound out of that bag, which was 8 pounds. We're now at 7 pounds, giving 1 ounce for the bag. So here's what 7 pounds looks like in the hopper. If I were to smooth it completely out, it would probably be about a ½ inch from the top, maybe slightly. Because this is a double-walled drum, it's going to take longer for it to preheat. But as you can see, while it's preheating, I've got the roaster on between 1 and 2 on the airflow. You can see that the hot air temperature is much higher than the bean temperature. But if I crank it up, like I'm going to crank it up to 6. Now this is in the early start of the roast. You can actually see the airflow, which is the lower temperature there, going down while the bean temperature is going up. Now this roaster is set when you have the warm up button on to cut off the gas at 390 or 392 degrees, I can't remember which, and it will try to maintain it at that. If somebody wanted to get true temperatures on the bean temperature and the metals, I mean, during the first roast, they could let that go in that range for a while to make sure that it keeps or brings up the actual metals to those temperatures. As you can see, it did that in somewhere around 5.5 minutes. I've been talking now for a while. So my drum speed is at 70%. That's not 70 RPM. That's 70% of the power of the drum motor itself. So I feel that even though I haven't let it go 20 minutes like some people do on the preheat, I feel that it's fine on the metals. It's pretty close. My normal charge point is about 350 degrees. So if I were to kick off the igniter, turn down my airflow to virtually nothing, it would quickly retract, but it would kind of give me an idea of what the actual temperature of the metals are, which may be a little bit less than 350 degrees. So I could either let it go and preheat a little bit longer, or just make some modifications, because I'm on a strict time schedule right now and can't let the roaster preheat for 20 minutes. I'm going to go with making my modifications as we go. So I kicked the gas back on, I reset my timer. I'm taking off the warm-up button because I don't want it to kick off at 392 right now or during the roast itself. And I feel that I'm ready to go on charging the beans, so I'm starting the timer. I've got my 7 pounds in there, and I'm gonna go ahead and charge it into the drum. And it's in there now. I'm closing the hopper. I've got the gas pressure set at slightly under 3. I'm gonna monitor how far the drop goes until we have the turnaround to determine whether I need to give it more gas or less. And keep in mind, this is the first time in a long time I've roasted on any Sedona. All my workers tend to test these machines now, so I may mess up during this test. Got my airflow at about 2. The turnaround's happening now right at a minute at I think it was at 133.7. So we see a turnaround now. My KPA on the gas is a little bit less than 3. There's our burners. One of the things I'm going to be watching for is the way that my beans spin in the drum, to make sure that I'm not going too fast or too slow on the drum speed. It looks like 7's just fine on that. So we're going to see how this develops and the rate of rise. And I did not hook this up to a computer, even though I brought one up here to attach it. Generally speaking, my rule of thumb is to make the drying phase last about 5 to 7 minutes. Some people do as low as 3.5 or 4 minutes. I don't want to blast and over dry the beans during the drying phase, but I may, if I feel that the rate of rise is too slow, and that's where having artisan in here and the fact that I haven't roasted in quite a while would help me to see if I needed to modify this and crank up the gas a little bit. Right now I'm going to leave it as it is for a minute or so. So here we are at 3 minutes, 203 degrees. I feel like I need to bump up the gas just a little bit. I still have my airflow at 2, so my air temperature is at about 420. My bean is at 213 at 3 minutes 19 seconds. I like the rate of rise a little bit better than I did there before. Maybe on 7 pounds I would have started the rate of, or started the gas at about 3.5. I actually bumped it up to 3.75 at right around 3 minutes 50 seconds because I think I goofed up. I probably should have had this at 3.5 to begin with 7 pounds. And being that it's the first roast, I generally don't like to do any profiling on my first roast unless I let the machine preheat for 20 minutes, which I obviously didn't. So here's at 4 minutes 45 seconds, 260 degrees. We're still going through the drying phase. 4 minutes 26 seconds. I bumped up the airflow to 4, and because I started the roast at slightly under 3 kPa when I probably should have did 3.5, I bumped it up to a little bit ago to 3.75. So we should still be in that range, hopefully, of 7 minutes on the end of drying phase. Phase came at about 7 minutes 20 seconds. I kind of let it go longer than I should have because of starting at a lower temperature. At this point, it would make sense to cut back the gas. I'm going to cut it back just to 3 right now, and I'm going to, and that's it. 7 minutes 51 seconds. I'm going to take a look at my beans, and if I think I need to bump up the airflow, which is at 4 right now, pretty light brown right there, but I'm seeing a lot of chaff, so I am going to bump up the airflow. I bumped it up to 5.5. My rate of rise is still going pretty good. We're at 362 on the bean temperature at 8 minutes 48 seconds. This is a first roast on the roaster. We're going to go ahead and do a second roast to show you, once the machine's thoroughly warmed up, how we can make some modifications that should be easier. We've cut this down to a little bit above, about 2.6 on the case. Closer to first crack, so I'm going to bump up the drum speed to 80%. And I haven't made any changes in the airflow, so I'm going to notice maybe a little bit faster rate of rise on the bean. And I'm going to cut back the gas a little bit more. And it's going into first crack right now at 9 minutes, about 9 minutes 30 seconds it started. And I'm cutting the gas back to 2.25. The airflow, if I want, I could kick it up some. I'm kicking it up to 7 on the airflow. We're now at about 395 on the bean, 460 on the airflow. I'm going to go ahead and cut my gas back to about 1.75. Here we are, moving right along. If I can get a picture. There you go. We're on bean temperature, we're at 406, 458 on the hot air, 10 minutes 29 seconds. I'm probably going to bump this off at about 420, maybe 425, because you don't need a super dark roast to get some great taste out of this. We're down to 1.7. And I'm actually going to go ahead and kick off my gas and let it roll into where I'm going to cut it off. Get my the cooling tray ready. So we're right at 420 at 11 minutes 9 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and check the beans one more time. And I apologize if it's not in focus because I'm trying to do everything with one hand on the camera. So we're going to go ahead and I feel that it's about where I like it. We're going to go ahead and release the beans. Okay, and we're ready to charge another roast, except for I never put one in the hopper, so give me a moment.